Donald Trump Jr. is a significant owner and calls the shots at Polymarket. The Trump family bought Polymarket back in the middle or end of summer of 2025. They were in the middle of doing this deal, and I already knew there was going to be some weird shakeups, and it's already playing out. And when we look at these bets being placed on Polymarket with global war on the horizon, significant amounts of money being placed on global war, don't you think that this is a messy situation? What I'm going to show you right now, you might want to put down your phone. You might want to close whatever other tabs you're looking at, because I'm going to show you something that's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a hot take. This is not me speculating. This is a chart. These are timestamp situations. These are dollar amounts that are pretty serious. And when you put everything together, this is only going to ask a question that truly matters with the war in Iran and the Trump administration. Now, before I was doing political commentary, I was trading derivatives. I ran up poker at a professional level for many years. I understand how markets move and how risk is priced, okay? What normal order flow looks like is something that I lived in for many years. What I'm gonna show you is not a normal order of flow or order book flowing, trading, anything like this is not normal, what I'm gonna show you today. So buckle in, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because you're not gonna wanna miss this. And if you understood what this administration was doing while you and I are worried about our kids going to war, you'd be just as pissed as I am. Let's run it. Right here, we've got 34.2 million views from Unusual Whales. You might have heard about this, but I'm going to explain deeper, because just 5 minutes before Trump announces the halt of attacks on Iran, massive trades reportedly hit the market. Now, in one move, $1.5 billion in S&P futures trades were bought, while $192 million in oil futures were sold. Now, these orders were 4 to 6 times larger than anything else bought at that time.
What the hell is that?
And the traders seemingly made huge gains. If you know trading like I do, you'll understand this, and I'll break it down in plain English, because this is where my background really matters. The S&P 500 E-mini futures are bets on the entire US stock market going up. Oil futures are bets on the price of crude oil. When a war is happening, oil goes up and stocks go down, and markets hate uncertainty. So on Monday morning, before the market even opened, you had at 6:49 a.m. New York time, you had a trade that suddenly spiked in futures trading. At 7:05 a.m., Trump announces deferment on strikes in Iran. And he pauses the strikes on the energy infrastructure in Iran that we heard about. If you watch Valhalla or other channels talking about, are we going to be in a mass world war? Is Trump going to be committing political suicide and all of these things? This is a big part of it. You're talking about attacking one of the most critical infrastructure which provides energy in the entire Gulf Coast area. This all happened within 15 minutes. What I need you to understand is this is not a guess. Professional traders do not put $1.5 billion of notional exposure into a single directional trade on a Monday morning in pre-market with no news catalyst unless they know exactly what's going to come. Look, we all know that Trump is a money man, all right? But is he willing to steep to the level of putting ourselves at risk for a global world war in order to print a few hundred million or a few billion dollars for his homies? Is that where we're at right now? Let's look at this post. This is from Rybar in English. Who knew in advance? Anomalous Polymarket bets before Iran strike. I'm going to tell you straight up. You've got 6 crypto wallets turning just a few $1,000s into hundreds of thousands of dollars overnight on Polymarket. And this is attaching Jared Kushner, who is Donald Trump's son-in-law, and he's also one of Trump's Iranian envoys. Okay, so he was publicly in Vienna doing, quote, peace talks while the bombs were being loaded into the planes. All right. Steve Witkoff is the other envoy. Now, he was also in Vienna, also apparently doing diplomacy, while 6 brand new crypto wallets all created within the last 24 hours of this exchange. Right before these strikes were supposed to take place, they were placing bets on the exact date that the bombs would drop. The question is not whether this is a suspicious account. The question is who is behind it. And right now, nobody's required to tell you. And just so you know, Donald Trump Jr. is a significant owner and calls the shots at Polymarket. The Trump family bought Polymarket back in the middle or end of summer of 2025. They were in the middle of doing this deal, and I already knew there was going to be some weird shakeups, and it's already playing out. Donald Trump Jr. is a partial owner in Polymarket. And when we look at these bets being placed on Polymarket with global war on the horizon, significant amounts of money being placed on global war, don't you think that this is a messy situation, to say the least, to be the nicest? You've got the administration in ownership of a betting platform that could actually drive war if the money is worth it. I mean, think about it. You right here have got, you're making $500,000 off of just a few tens of thousands of dollars, and this is all on Polymarket. And then you've got someone in Pete Hegseth's circle leaking Department of War data for insider trading on Polymarket. This has been said right here on X from CVXV666. All right, 500K in profits extracted in a single day. And this goes back to show you this is in one day right here. Look at this. So the incognito trader knew about the U.S. strikes in Iran in advance. Bet was placed just a couple of hours before the strikes, from 11 cents to 100 cents to 800% profit on classified insider information. Which U.S. bigwig is throwing away their military honor for bags? And they showed it, and they tracked the Polymarket P&L. And look at, it just right here, it gains instantly in one day. Look at those gains, man. Don't you wish that was you? While we're worried about our kids going to war, while we're worried about maybe us being drafted for war, these cats are printing. Not only can they print dollars, they're literally printing profits. What is going on with this, bro? One thing you need to understand is that congressional financial disclosures covers stocks, it covers bonds, crypto, and commodities, but prediction markets, these event contracts are not mentioned anywhere. All right. They're not in-house rules. There's no Senate rules. There's no White House guidelines. So are you understanding where this can get very dirty, very easily, very quickly? All right. A senator could walk out of a classified military briefing, sit in their car, open up Polymarket on their phone, and bet $50,000 on the timing of a strike and print $500,000 or more. And the smart move, honestly, is this might not go anywhere because it's just $500,000. But if you do this over and over again, then obviously there's a major problem starting to happen here. And what else is there to say?
Turning now to insider trading, a very important story that we absolutely cannot just let slide. So we recall yesterday we talked a lot about Trump market manipulation. It turns out that market manipulation definitely worked out for several people, but we don't know any of their names. Let's start with the first one. Let's put it up here on the screen. Here we have from the Financial Times. Traders placed $580 million in oil bets ahead of Donald Trump's social media post on Iran talks. Is that normal? No, apparently it's not. 15 minutes before the Trump post touting productive talks, 6,200 Brent and West Texas Intermediate futures contracts change hands between 6:49 a.m. and 6:50 a.m. New York time on Monday, a quarter of an hour ahead of the president's post. $580 million was the notional volume. Trading volumes leapt at the exact same time, 27 seconds before 6:50 a.m. Futures tracking the S&P 500 jumped in price moments after the oil trade, volumes rising significantly during that time frame.
Are you catching this? We're talking about $580 million in 15 minutes. This is literally such a short time frame. It's like you have to know this is precision betting at its finest. All right. The S&P jumped moments after the oil trade.
It's disgusting. And let me add this. The U.S. SEC's ex-enforcement chief clashed with bosses over Trump cases before leaving, according to sources. This is from Reuters. So I saw someone flag on Twitter that this enforcement chief over at the SEC had just resigned earlier this month, right before, this level of insider trading is clearly happening in conjunction with the war. And so Reuters was able to get the scoop about what was actually going on here. And lo and behold, it was over a lack of enforcement, especially with cases that have ties to Trump and the Trump family. Of course, they deny it.
Of course they deny it. I mean, why would they admit it? You're going to put yourself in hot water. They're going to have to go and look. And if these are blockchain trades, good luck. Blockchain trades are going to be very, very hard to find, especially on the White House, especially anybody in general. That's the point of trading on the blockchain, is that there's no name attached to it. There's no IP address attached to it. It's a wallet address that's a bunch of letters and numbers. It's super hard to actually find, you know what I mean? Unless you can track through like Coinbase. There's a whole process. Maybe you could, and there are strategies to find out who owns a wallet if you are the likes of Circle or Coinbase or some of these tracking agencies that are built into the things like USDC, which maybe we'll talk about one day on this channel. But I'm going to tell you exactly the architecture as I see it, and I want you to tell me if this is a coincidence. So step one, you dismantle the DOJ public integrity section from 36 lawyers down to 2. So that's done before the war. Step 2 is you cancel 159 federal enforcement actions against 166 companies, 30 of which donated to Trump's campaign's inauguration. That was done before the war. Step 3, drop the DOJ investigation into Polymarket. They were being investigated before Trump Jr. acquired Polymarket. Then they dropped it. Trump Jr. acquired it. That was done before the war. Now Trump Jr. owns a portion of Polymarket, and you're seeing these trades happen left and right. Step 4, drop the CFTC investigation into Polymarket. Again, done before the war. Step 5, force out the SEC enforcement chief who wanted to pursue Trump adjacent cases, and this was done just a few weeks ago. And then you start the Iran war. And then $1.5 billion moves 5 minutes before the announcement. $500 million, whatever, 500. I mean, they keep finding more and more trades, and they're starting to tie these to the administration, or at least how else could it be anything but the administration?
And every oil analyst that we listen to is like, the market futures are totally pricing in some sort of taco, some sort of event that, if you look at the physical market, doesn't add up. We talked I think maybe last week, remember about California barrels trading for like $140. We talked about how physical crude oil in Dubai or in UAE that was coming out was trading at like 160. And that's way out of step with where the current futures prices are. And the reason for that is that's the physical oil that's actually there right now, as opposed to what the future bet is on some sort of resumption of flow. This is Scott Kirby, the CEO of United. He put out a memo. This was last week. We plan for oil to hit $175 a barrel and staying above 100 next year as the industry faces the worst shock since COVID. Obviously, that matters for jet fuel. And he, by the way, when he says 175 barrel, he's not talking about jet fuel. He's talking about actual crude oil.
When this CEO of Chevron, and now you're talking about United Airlines, planning for these oil barrels to hit these certain levels. This is the physical oil market being thrown into a tighter situation for a futures curve than it typically would suggest. So the market is trading on perception, and that perception is wrong. So what does that mean for you? Gas at $4 a gallon as the base case, okay? Diesel at $5.35 right now. 401k withdrawals at an all-time high, mortgage rates at 7% inflation or whatever, heading back down towards hopefully 5%, while somebody placed a $1.5 billion trade 5 minutes before the announcement. I want you to hold these realities in your head at the same time. Your 401k is being rated to pay for heating oil this winter, and someone in Washington or adjacent to Washington appears to have known exactly when the market was going to move. That's not an accusation here. This is a question. And it is a question that the SEC chief, who was just forced out, was apparently trying to ask. Look, I came up in trading. I understand how all of this stuff works. The mechanics, the derivatives, the futures, the different types of markets that you can place commodity trades in. All right. It is the oldest play in the world. Create the event, know the event is coming, and bet on the event. Collect the money, make sure nobody with a badge at least is watching, and keep it moving. The only difference is the scale and how much you're willing to bet at that point. The only difference is the uniform that you're wearing and the ones that are looking at you are wearing, really. So I have one question, and I want it in the comments right now to see what you're going to say is, if this were anyone other than the people surrounding the administration, if it were you, if it were me, if it was your homie, if it was your parents, would we even be having this conversation, or would we already be in handcuffs?